Have you guys heard about the murder of the healthcare CEO? Here's what Fox News said. The obsession with Mangione, who is the suspected murderer, highlights the extent of the broken mental health care system in the U.S. Now, if you are not familiar with the situation, let me catch you up really quickly. On December 4th, 2024, United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was fatally shot outside the New York Hilton Midtown Hotel in Manhattan. Thompson was en route to an investor conference when he was approached by a masked gunman who fired multiple shots, resulting in his death. The suspect, identified as 26-year-old Luigi Mangione, was apprehended after a 5-day nationwide manhunt that concluded in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Upon arrest, Mangione was found in possession of a 9mm handgun, fake identification documents, and a manifesto expressing hostility towards the health insurance industry. Mangione has been charged with first-degree murder, among other offenses, and has pleaded not guilty to all charges. His defense attorney has raised concerns about the potential for a fair trial, citing the extensive media coverage and public statements by officials. The assassination has sparked significant public discourse, with some individuals expressing support for Mangione's actions, highlighting widespread frustration with the health insurance industry. This incident has prompted discussion about the state of the U.S. healthcare system and the ethical implications of such acts of violence. In response to the incident, United Health Group's CEO, Andrew Whitty, acknowledged flaws within the healthcare system and emphasized the need for reform. He also noted that employees have faced threats and vitriol online following Thompson's death. The case remains ongoing, with Mangione's next court appearances scheduled in the coming months. The assassination has led to increased security measures within the healthcare industry and has intensified debates over the industry's practices and public perception. Now, let me just say this. If you side with the murderer, I understand in a fleshly sense. You want justice. But let me tell you something. This is not real justice. This is street justice. Now, what I read and what I understand, and if you hear something different, let me know in the comments, but there was an investigation, a lawsuit, that there were algorithms that were programmed in their system to decline people's coverages. And so it was like no matter what you submitted, man, you weren't going to get what you were asking for. You weren't going to get the insurance coverage. And so all these claims are being denied because they have a crooked and evil algorithm. Now, I totally understand when this came out and it said the healthcare CEO has been murdered outside of this hotel, I instantly thought they're probably doing something shady and this is a vigilante. And sure enough, that's what it was. Now, I can tell you as a former police officer that the temptation to take matters into your own hands and deliver some street justice is real. We're human beings. We want to see justice now. But the Bible says, and God says, vengeance is mine. Those are God's words. And so we have to trust the Lord that vengeance is his. There were so many times that I could have taken an extra punch. I could have done something I shouldn't have done in an alleyway where no one was there. There were several people that I could have shot and killed who needed to be shot in a worldly sense, where you think, the justice system, especially in Washington State, is corrupt. They are not putting people in jail. They are releasing them out on bail, out on bond. The crooked judges, the crooked prosecutors are getting them off. This is not conspiracy. I experienced it firsthand. The guy who cut my eye open, they wanted to drop it down to a felony because it was his first felony. And so they ended up giving him a misdemeanor even though I protested. Those court systems are crooked and corrupt. There were guys we arrested for shootings that were out that same weekend. So it would be easy for me to sit here and say, look, I understand the wicked flesh, heart desire for justice here and now. But this is not true justice. This is not what we need to be doing as Americans. We can't just murder people because they are evil. We have to conduct an investigation. We have to gather all the facts. We have to submit all the evidence, and we have to pray that the courts will do what they need to do. But ultimately, we need to trust God that no one is getting away with anything. As a Christian, I got to tell you, this is the wrong thing to do. You should not be siding with the murderer. You should never be, 1 Corinthians 13 says, love does not rejoice in wrongdoing. This is wrongdoing. It is illegal to take matters into your own hands. And as much as it might feel good to your flesh, hey, sin is good for a while, but it leads to death. And so you have to ask yourself, if you find yourself agreeing with this vigilante, man, is my heart slipping away from God? Am I going cold? Because the Bible says in the end times, the love of many will grow cold. You don't want your heart to be hardened. You don't want your heart to grow cold. You want to stay tender and you want to trust God. And so while this might be a great example of street justice, it is not true justice at all. The reality is that while we might at first applaud street justice, if we lived in a world where street justice ran rampant and we didn't have actual justice, that would be a very scary place to live.